What if one of the easiest ways to put more magnesium into your diet had nothing to do with buying another bottle of pills? It could be sitting in a jar of pumpkin seeds, a bowl of oatmeal, a container of beans, or a handful of almonds in your kitchen right now. Today, we are looking at 20 simple magnesium-rich snacks that can help you build a more nutrient-dense everyday diet, especially if you're trying to stay strong, active, and independent as the years go by. And stay with me, because number 4 turns an ordinary apple into a surprisingly mineral-rich snack, while number 17 may change the way you think about grain-based foods you were once told to avoid. The goal is not an instant cure. The goal is something much more useful. Food you can actually enjoy, prepare, keep nearby, and make part of real life. 1. Roasted pumpkin seeds. There's a reason pumpkin seeds show up again and again whenever people talk about magnesium-rich foods. They are small, they are easy to store, they require almost no preparation, and a relatively small serving can make a meaningful contribution to your daily magnesium intake. That matters because magnesium is not a single-purpose nutrient. Your body uses it in hundreds of chemical reactions, including normal nerve and muscle function, protein production, blood sugar regulation, and the maintenance of bones and DNA. The important distinction is that eating a magnesium-rich food is not the same thing as treating a diagnosed deficiency. Food is part of the foundation. For many adults, that foundation can be surprisingly simple. Take raw pumpkin seeds, also called pepitas, and spread them on a baking sheet. Add a small amount of olive oil if you like, and season them lightly with salt, pepper, smoked paprika, garlic powder, or your favorite savory spice. Roast them until they are fragrant and lightly crisp. Then let them cool completely and keep them in a sealed container. The best part is not the recipe. It is visibility. Put the container somewhere you will actually see it. When nutritious choice is hidden at the back of a cabinet, it is easy to forget. When it is sitting beside the foods you already reach for, it becomes much easier to make the better choice without making a big decision every time. And pumpkin seeds are versatile enough to move beyond snacking. Sprinkle them over soup, oatmeal, yogurt, salad, avocado toast, or cooked vegetables. One small ingredient can quietly improve the nutritional character of meals you already enjoy. Next, we take that same mineral-focused idea and pair it with one of the most familiar fruits in the grocery store. 2. Almond butter banana bites. A banana does not have to be dressed up as a miracle food to be useful. It is simply convenient, naturally sweet, easy to chew, and a source of potassium. Almond butter adds protein, fat, fiber, and magnesium from the almonds. Together, the combination makes a snack that feels like a treat without depending on a candy bar or a highly processed energy product. Slice a banana into rounds. Add a small spoonful of almond butter to each piece. You can stop there, or add a sprinkle of chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, or unsweetened coconut. The advantage of a snack like this is not that the ingredients suddenly become more powerful when they touch each other. The advantage is that you are building several useful nutrients into something satisfying enough to keep hunger at bay. This becomes particularly practical in the afternoon. Many people reach for whatever is easiest when they become hungry between meals, and convenience usually wins. So rather than relying on willpower, change the environment. Keep bananas visible. Keep almond butter accessible. Keep a small jar of seeds nearby. Now, the nutritious option is just as convenient as the less nutritious one. There's another reason this combination works well for adults who are trying to maintain strength. Magnesium is involved in normal muscle and nerve function, while protein supplies amino acids your body needs to maintain and repair tissues. That does not mean a banana with almond butter can replace a balanced meal, a good exercise program, or medical treatment. It simply means that everyday snacks can contribute to the larger nutritional picture. And that larger picture becomes more important when we stop thinking about one miraculous food and start thinking about patterns. Because our third snack takes a familiar breakfast food and turns it into one of the easiest magnesium-rich routines you can build. Before we go any further, I would love to know what country or region you're watching from, and whether pumpkin seeds, almonds, bananas, and these other ingredients are easy for you to find, grow, or use where you live. 3. Oatmeal with almond butter and chia. Oatmeal has an old-fashioned reputation for a reason. It is inexpensive, versatile, easy to customize, and remarkably useful when you build a bowl carefully. Start with plain oats rather than a heavily sweetened flavored packet. Cook them with water or milk, depending on your preference. Then stir in a spoonful of almond butter while the oats are still warm. Finish with chia seeds, cinnamon, berries, sliced banana, or a few chopped nuts. Now you have a snack or light meal containing whole grains, healthy fats, fiber, protein, and several sources of magnesium. The deeper lesson here is about replacement. You do not need to invent a completely new diet. You can take familiar foods and make small changes. A sweet pastry can become oatmeal. A handful of cookies can become nuts and fruit. A highly processed snack can become beans, seeds, or whole grains. Those changes may seem modest, but habits are built out of modest decisions repeated many times. Magnesium also gives us a useful reminder that nutrition is interconnected. The body does not use nutrients in isolation. Magnesium participates in energy metabolism, muscle function, nerve signaling, and protein synthesis. So when you eat a food that contributes magnesium along with fiber, protein, healthy fats, and other micronutrients, you're feeding a system rather than chasing one isolated number. And oatmeal has one more advantage for people who enjoy a warm evening snack. It can become part of a predictable routine. A small bowl in the evening may be more practical for you than a complicated supplement schedule. Of course, if you've been diagnosed with magnesium deficiency, have kidney problems, take medications that affect mineral levels, or have persistent symptoms such as unusual weakness, cramps, or abnormal heart sensations, food choices should not replace medical advice. That is especially important because magnesium supplements and medications can interact with some medicines, while naturally occurring magnesium in foods does not carry the same upper limit concern. Now we are moving into the more surprising combinations. And number 4 is one you may have never thought of as a magnesium snack. 4. Tahini apple slices. Tahini is simply ground sesame seed paste. It appears in cuisines across the Middle East and Mediterranean and has been used in foods such as hummus, sauces, dressings, and sweets. But from a nutrition perspective, sesame seeds deserve more attention. Seeds and nuts are among the food categories naturally rich in magnesium. The National Institutes of Health specifically lists nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, and green leafy vegetables among the major dietary sources. The practical problem is that most people do not sit down and eat sesame seeds by the spoonful. Tahini solved that problem. Take an apple, slice it into wedges, add a drizzle of tahini, then sprinkle on cinnamon. That is it. You have a creamy, crunchy, naturally sweet combination with fat and fiber accompanying the fruit. And here's what makes this snack so useful. It does not look like health food. It looks like something you would eat because it tastes good. That matters. The biggest obstacle to healthy eating is often not knowledge. It is consistency. A snack that requires a blender, 6 ingredients, special containers, and 20 minutes of preparation may be nutritious, but it may not survive a busy Tuesday. Apple slices and tahini can. You can prepare it in minutes. You can take it to a chair by the window with a cup of tea. You can serve it when a grandchild comes over. And because it is familiar and satisfying, it does not feel like punishment for trying to eat better. There is an important caveat with foods like tahini. It is calorie dense because sesame seeds contain substantial fat. That fat is not something to fear, but portions still matter. A good snack should satisfy you, not turn into an accidental second meal. A spoonful or 2 can go a long way. And once you start looking at sesame differently, you begin to see how many ordinary foods can quietly contribute magnesium without ever being marketed as a supplement. The next snack takes that same principle and turns it into something unmistakably indulgent. 5. Dark chocolate pumpkin seed clusters. This is where nutrition and pleasure can meet. Dark chocolate containing a high percentage of cocoa can contribute magnesium, while pumpkin seeds bring an additional concentrated source. But the key is choosing the right kind of chocolate and remembering that chocolate is still a calorie-dense food. Look for a dark chocolate you genuinely enjoy, preferably one without a long list of unnecessary additions. Melt a modest amount gently. Stir in pumpkin seeds. Spread the mixture thinly over parchment paper. Chill it, then break it into small pieces. The reason I like this snack is not because it supposedly calms your nervous system in some instant way. That kind of promise goes too far. The honest point is more interesting. Dark chocolate and pumpkin seeds are foods that contain magnesium, and the overall diet matters far more than any individual bite. The cocoa also contains plant compounds known as flavonols. Research into cocoa and cardiovascular function is ongoing, and some studies suggest potential effects on vascular function. But this is not a license to eat unlimited chocolate or to treat heart disease with dessert. The practical win here is substitution. If you are going to have something sweet, adding a nutrient-rich ingredient can change what that snack contributes to your diet. That is a much more realistic goal than pretending that a chocolate cluster is medicine. And there is a simple way to make the habit work. Do not make the pieces enormous. Break the bark into small shards and store them in the refrigerator. Then you have a satisfying bite available when you want something sweet without turning the kitchen into an all-you-can-eat chocolate station. And that brings us to a snack that looks completely different, but delivers another combination adults should pay attention to. Plant protein, fiber, and minerals in one very simple package. 6. Edamame with lemon and sea salt. Edamame is simply young soybeans. You may know it from restaurant appetizers, but it deserves a regular place in the home kitchen. It is easy to prepare, provides protein and fiber, and contributes magnesium along with other nutrients. That combination makes it especially useful for people who are no longer interested in snacks that give them a quick burst of calories but leave them hungry again 20 minutes later. Steam or boil the pods according to the package directions. Drain them, then add a squeeze of lemon and a small amount of salt. You can also use garlic, chili flakes, black pepper, or a drizzle of sesame oil. Eat the beans directly from the pods. There is something satisfying about this process because it slows you down. You are not absent-mindedly throwing food into your mouth. You are eating one pod at a time. For someone trying to maintain a healthy weight, that little pause can be surprisingly helpful. Edamame also fits beautifully into the needs of an aging body because protein becomes increasingly important as we work to maintain muscle. Magnesium does not build muscle on its own. Protein does not replace movement, and a snack cannot compensate for inadequate overall nutrition. But together, adequate protein, sufficient calories, resistance exercise, sleep, and a varied diet form a much stronger foundation for healthy aging. If frozen edamame is easier to find than fresh, use frozen. There is no prize for making healthy eating unnecessarily difficult. Keep a bag in the freezer. That way, a nutritious snack is available on the days when the refrigerator looks empty and motivation is low. And now we move from soybeans to one of the great traditional foods of the Americas. 7. Black bean and avocado dip. Black beans are one of those foods that rarely receive the glamorous treatment they deserve. They are inexpensive. They are filling. They provide fiber and plant protein. And they contribute magnesium. Avocado adds another layer of nutrients and a creamy texture that turns a mixture into something satisfying enough to replace a more processed dip. Start with cooked black beans. Add ripe avocado. Then squeeze in lime juice. Season with cumin, garlic, black pepper, or chili if you enjoy a little heat. Mash everything together until it reaches the texture you like. You can keep it chunky. You can make it smooth. There is no perfect version. Serve it with sliced bell peppers, cucumbers, carrots, whole grain crackers, or a small portion of corn chips if that is what makes the snack enjoyable for you. The nutritional idea is more important than the exact recipe. You're pairing a legume with a plant food that contains healthy unsaturated fats. And you are replacing a highly refined snack with foods that naturally provide fiber, protein, and minerals. This is also a good example of why traditional food patterns can be useful without turning them into folklore. Beans, grains, vegetables, nuts, and seeds appear in food traditions around the world because they are practical foods. They are affordable in many regions, adaptable to local cooking, and easy to combine. We do not need to claim that ancient people understood modern biochemistry. We simply need to recognize that some old food patterns happen to align well with what we now know about nutrition. Make enough dip for several days. Store it properly in the refrigerator, then divide it into small containers. The easiest healthy snack is often the one you prepared before you were hungry. And our next snack takes that same preparation advantage and turns it into something you can have ready before the day even begins. 8. Chia seed pudding. Chia seeds have become fashionable, but the underlying food is far less complicated than the marketing surrounding it. They are small seeds rich in fiber, and they also contribute magnesium and plant-based omega-3 fats. When soaked in liquid, chia seeds absorb water and form a thick gel. That makes them remarkably useful for preparing a make-ahead snack. Put chia seeds into a jar. Add milk or a fortified milk alternative. Stir thoroughly. Let the mixture sit in the refrigerator until it thickens. Then add berries, sliced fruit, chopped nuts, or a small amount of unsweetened cocoa. The real advantage here is texture. Because chia becomes thick and spoonable, it can feel more substantial than a handful of seeds eaten alone. That sense of a real snack matters when you're trying to create habits that last. And because it can be prepared in advance, you can make several jars at once. That is where meal preparation becomes less about discipline and more about reducing friction. When something is ready, you eat it. When it requires 12 steps, you may not. There is also an important lesson here about portions. Because chia seeds are high in fiber, a sudden large increase may be uncomfortable for some people. Start with a modest amount and drink enough fluids throughout the day. This is not a race. You are building a pattern your digestion can tolerate. And remember, the goal is not to consume every magnesium-rich food in one afternoon. The goal is to create variety. One day you may have oats, another day pumpkin seeds, another day beans, another day yogurt with almonds. That variety makes the diet more enjoyable and spreads your sources of nutrients across many foods. By now, you can probably see the pattern forming. And the next snack is one of the easiest ways to turn that pattern into something portable. If you are finding this useful, save this video for your next grocery trip, or share it with someone who is trying to build easier, more nutritious snack habits. That way you have a practical reference when you need ideas, rather than trying to remember 20 ingredients later. 9. Cashew and dried apricot trail mix. There's a reason nuts and dried fruit have traveled so well across cultures and centuries. They are compact. They are portable. They keep far longer than many fresh foods. And when combined thoughtfully, they make a snack that can travel with you. Cashews provide magnesium, along with other minerals and protein. Dried apricots contribute carbohydrates, fiber, and potassium. The catch is portion size. Dried fruit is much more concentrated than fresh fruit because most of the water has been removed. That is why a small serving can be enough. Combine cashews and dried apricots in roughly equal amounts. You can add pumpkin seeds for even more magnesium. You can add walnuts or almonds for variety. Or keep it as simple as 2 ingredients. The goal is to make something you would actually eat. Keep a small container in your bag, desk, or pantry. But be careful with long-term storage in warm conditions, especially if you add nuts with a high fat content. Heat and light can speed up rancidity. A cool, dark pantry or refrigerator is often a better choice for longer storage. This snack also illustrates a principle that shows up throughout this list. You do not have to find one superfood. You can combine ordinary foods that each contribute something different. A nut contributes fat, protein, and minerals. Fruit contributes carbohydrate and other plant compounds. Seeds bring additional minerals and fiber. The result is not a magic formula. It is simply a better nutritional package than many ultra-processed snack choices. And if you are preparing snacks for someone who lives alone, travels frequently, or simply does not want to cook multiple times a day, portable foods like this can be surprisingly valuable. Next, we are bringing magnesium-rich greens into the conversation. 10. Spinach and Egg Muffins. Spinach has a special place in the magnesium story because magnesium is part of chlorophyll, the pigment that gives green plants their color. That does not mean every green vegetable is automatically a concentrated magnesium supplement. But leafy greens are a well-established food category worth, including in a varied diet. The trick is making greens convenient. That is where egg muffins come in. Whisk eggs. Add chopped spinach. Mix in onions, peppers, mushrooms, tomatoes, or leftover cooked vegetables. Season lightly. Pour the mixture into a greased muffin tin and bake until the centers are set. Let them cool. Then store the finished muffins in the refrigerator according to ordinary food safety practices. Now you have a savory snack that can be eaten warm or cold. It also combines vegetables with protein. That can be helpful on mornings when toast or cereal alone simply does not keep you satisfied. And because you can batch cook them, they are perfect for people who want healthier food available without spending every morning in the kitchen. There's another advantage to using spinach this way. It does not have to be perfect. A handful that is beginning to wilt can often be turned into an omelet, soup, egg muffin, or cooked dish instead of being thrown away. That reduces waste and makes healthy eating more practical. For older adults especially, practical nutrition is often more valuable than complicated nutrition. You want foods that are affordable, easy to chew, easy to prepare, easy to store, and pleasant enough that you will actually eat them. Egg muffins check many of those boxes. And now we are moving into a snack that combines cool, creamy texture with nuts and cocoa. 11. Greek yogurt with almonds and cacao nibs. Plain Greek yogurt brings protein. Almonds bring magnesium and healthy fats. Cacao nibs bring the intense flavor of cocoa without requiring a sweet candy coating. Put them together and you have a snack that feels almost like dessert. Start with plain, unsweetened yogurt. Add sliced almonds. Sprinkle on a spoonful of cacao nibs. Then add berries or chopped fresh fruit if you want natural sweetness. You can finish it with cinnamon. What you do not need is a large amount of added sugar. Many flavored yogurts can contain more added sugar than people realize, depending on the product. That does not make them forbidden. It simply means you should read the label. The reason plain yogurt works so well here is control. You can add the sweetness yourself. You can make it mildly sweet or very fruity. You can also make it more substantial with extra nuts and seeds. Magnesium is one reason the almonds and cacao make sense, but do not overlook the protein. Protein becomes increasingly useful as we age because maintaining muscle requires adequate protein intake in addition to physical activity. Again, one snack is not a treatment, but one snack can become part of a pattern that supports the basics. And those basics are not exotic. They are adequate food, enough protein, regular movement, a variety of plants, reasonable amounts of added sugar, good sleep, and appropriate medical care when something is genuinely wrong. You may notice that none of those habits sounds dramatic. That is the point. Healthy aging is often built on things that are almost boring in their consistency. Now let's make the snack crunchy. 12. Roasted chickpeas with pumpkin seeds. Chickpeas have been a staple in many cuisines for a very long time. They are legumes, and legumes are among the food categories the NIH identifies as sources of magnesium. But cooked chickpeas are soft. For a snack craving, that can sometimes feel too much like a meal. Roasting changes the experience completely. Start with cooked chickpeas. Dry them thoroughly. Toss them with a small amount of olive oil. Season them with paprika, cumin, garlic, black pepper, rosemary, or whatever combination you enjoy. Roast until crisp. Then let them cool and toss them with pumpkin seeds. Now you have a crunchy snack that can compete with the texture of crackers or chips. That matters more than it sounds. Food preference is strongly connected to texture. If you crave crunchy food, handing yourself a bowl of soft vegetables may not solve the problem. But roasted chickpeas and pumpkin seeds can. You get crunch without depending entirely on refined flour or fried potato snacks. There's also a useful practical habit here. Do not wait until everything in the pantry is gone before preparing a healthier option. Make a batch while the oven is already on. Cool it completely. Store it properly. Then portion out a serving when you want one. You can change the seasoning every time. One batch can taste smoky. Another can taste lemony and herb-filled. Another can be spicy. The ingredients do not have to become boring simply because they are nutritious. And that principle takes us to one of the most versatile magnesium-rich snacks on the entire list. 13. Avocado whole grain toast. Avocado toast has become trendy, but the basic combination is much more practical than the trend suggests. Whole grain bread contributes magnesium because the bran and germ are retained rather than stripped away during extensive refining. Avocado adds healthy unsaturated fats, fiber, and several vitamins and minerals. Add pumpkin seeds on top, and you have another source of magnesium. Mash avocado onto a slice of whole grain bread. Add lemon juice. Season with black pepper. Finish with pumpkin seeds. If you enjoy tomatoes, radishes, smoked paprika, or a boiled egg, add them. This is not about creating the perfect avocado toast. It is about creating a base that can adapt to your kitchen. And pay attention to the word whole grain. A loaf-labeled wheat bread is not necessarily the same as a loaf in which whole wheat is the primary grain. Read the ingredient list. Look for whole wheat, whole rye, or another clearly identified whole grain near the beginning. That simple habit can make grocery shopping much more informative. Whole grains are useful because the parts of the grain containing fiber and minerals are preserved. Refining can remove some of those components. That does not make white bread toxic. It simply means it is nutritionally different. There is also no need to make every meal complicated. A slice of good whole grain bread, half an avocado, and a spoonful of pumpkin seeds can be assembled in minutes. For someone living independently, that kind of simplicity is not a luxury. It is practical. You can make it before a walk. You can make it after gardening. You can make it when you realize you are hungry and do not want to cook an elaborate meal. The next snack takes that same combination of oats, nut butter, and seeds and turns it into a portable bite. 14. Peanut butter oat energy bites. These are useful because they require no oven. Mix rolled oats with natural peanut butter. Add chia seeds. Add a small amount of honey if you want sweetness. Stir until the mixture holds together. Then roll it into small balls and refrigerate. You can add cinnamon. You can add chopped nuts. You can add unsweetened cocoa. But keep the recipe simple. A short ingredient list makes it easier to repeat. The oats contribute whole grain nutrients and magnesium. Peanut butter contributes protein, fat, and minerals. Chia adds fiber and additional magnesium. The result is a compact snack that can be prepared in advance. And compact is exactly what you want when a snack is supposed to travel. Take one with you before an appointment. Keep some in the refrigerator for a mid-afternoon option. Use them when you know you are likely to become hungry between meals. But remember that Energy Bite is a recipe name, not a medical claim. These are not designed to repair fatigue caused by anemia, thyroid disease, medication side effects, sleep disorders, or any other underlying condition. Persistent fatigue deserves a proper medical evaluation. Food can support the body. It cannot diagnose the reason you feel unwell. That distinction becomes increasingly important as we age, because symptoms such as weakness, dizziness, fatigue, or muscle problems can have many possible causes. So enjoy the snack. Use it as part of a varied diet. But keep your medical team in the picture when symptoms are persistent or significant. And now, we are approaching a snack that looks tiny but carries a surprisingly useful combination of fruit, nuts, and minerals. And stay with me through number 17, because it challenges one of the most persistent assumptions people make about grain-based foods, that the whole category belongs on the bad side of the list. 15. Almond-Stuffed Dates. Dates are naturally sweet, dense, and easy to carry. Pair one with an almond, and you immediately change the nutritional balance of the snack. The date brings carbohydrate and fiber. The almond brings protein, fat, and magnesium. Slice a pitted date lengthwise. Place one whole almond inside. Close it. That is your snack. You can add a tiny pinch of sea salt if you enjoy the sweet and salty combination. You can also use almond butter instead of a whole almond. This is a good example of why the phrase healthy snack does not have to mean low calorie. Dates and almonds are both energy dense. That is not automatically bad. A nutrient-dense snack can still provide substantial calories. The question is whether the portion suits your needs and whether it fits into the rest of your day. For someone who struggles to eat enough, that density might be useful. For someone trying to reduce overall calorie intake, a smaller portion may make more sense. 1 or 2 stuffed dates may be satisfying enough. You do not need a bowlful. And there is something else I like about this snack. It requires no cooking, no blender, no measuring cups, no special equipment. You can prepare several in a minute and store them in a suitable sealed container. That kind of efficiency matters when you're building a routine you want to keep for months, not just for a weekend. The next snack is also sweet, but it puts 3 magnesium-rich ingredients together in one crisp, chill treat. 16. Dark chocolate chia bark. Melt dark chocolate. Spread it thinly over parchment. Sprinkle on chia seeds and pumpkin seeds. Add a few crushed almonds if you like. Chill the tray until firm. Then break it into irregular pieces. This is essentially a controlled version of a chocolate snack. The important word is controlled. When you make it yourself, you decide how much chocolate goes into the batch and how many seeds are included. The seeds bring fiber, healthy fats, and minerals. The dark chocolate contributes magnesium and cocoa compounds. But the snack is still chocolate. That means portion awareness remains useful. One of the easiest ways to accidentally turn a nutritious snack into an excessive one is to eat directly from a large container. Make smaller pieces. Store them somewhere visible but not constantly within reach. And give yourself permission to enjoy one. This is an important psychological point. Food habits are much easier to maintain when they include foods you genuinely like. Total restriction tends to make people think about the restricted food even more. A more practical approach is to improve the quality and composition of what you already enjoy. Instead of saying, I can never have chocolate, you can say, when I want chocolate, I can choose dark chocolate and pair it with seeds. That is a behavioral strategy, not a medical therapy, and it can be repeated. Which brings us to number 17. 17. Whole grain crackers with hummus. This one surprises people because grain-based foods have spent years being placed into simplistic categories. Good, bad, clean, dirty, allowed, forbidden. Real nutrition is rarely that simple. A whole grain is not the same thing as a highly refined grain. Whole grain products retain more of the original grain structure, including the bran and germ, where many nutrients are concentrated. The result can be more fiber and more minerals than their refined counterparts. That does not mean every cracker labeled whole grain is automatically an excellent choice. You still need to read the ingredient list. Look at the first ingredient. Look at the fiber. Look at added sugars and sodium. Look at the serving size. A box can make impressive health claims on the front while remaining highly refined inside. Now bring hummus into the picture. Hummus is built primarily around chickpeas and sesame tahini. So you have a legume-based spread paired with a whole grain vehicle. Add sliced cucumber or bell pepper, and you have an even more substantial snack. This is a good example of a food upgrade that does not require abandoning convenience. You can buy hummus. You can buy whole grain crackers. You can put them on a plate in under a minute. That matters for independent living. When you are hungry, you need something you can assemble without much effort. You also need something that is easy to adjust. Want more protein? Add a boiled egg. Want more vegetables? Add tomatoes or sliced peppers. Want more magnesium? Add pumpkin seeds to the hummus or sprinkle them over a plate. The real lesson from number 17 is not that bread is suddenly a superfood. It is that grain is not one nutritional category. How a grain is processed matters. And this is one reason the everyday details of food labels are worth learning. Because the healthiest choice is not always the product with the biggest words on the front. Sometimes it is the quiet one with the simplest ingredient list. 18. Avocado cacao pudding. Now for a dessert that feels almost too indulgent to belong in this conversation. It starts with a ripe avocado. Add unsweetened cocoa powder. Add a small splash of milk or milk alternative. Then blend until smooth. Taste it. If it needs sweetness, add a small amount of maple syrup, a ripe banana, or another sweetener you prefer. Chill it. Serve it in a small bowl or glass. The avocado provides fat and fiber. The cocoa contributes magnesium and cocoa compounds. The advantage is texture. You get something creamy and rich without relying on cream and large quantities of refined sugar. But again, the honesty matters. Avocado cacao pudding does not heal cardiovascular disease. It does not reverse diabetes. It does not replace medical treatment. It is simply a dessert made from ingredients with a more interesting nutritional profile than many conventional puddings. And that is enough. We do not have to exaggerate food to make food appealing. A good snack can be good because it tastes good and because it contributes useful nutrients. That combination is sustainable. You can make a small batch, keep it refrigerated, add a few berries, and enjoy it slowly. This is particularly useful for people who are trying to make healthier choices without creating the feeling that every enjoyable food has been taken away. A sustainable eating pattern has room for pleasure. That may be one of the most important lessons in this entire video, because the best snack is not the one that wins a nutrition contest. It is the one you can prepare, afford, tolerate, enjoy, and repeat. 19. Sesame Hummus Vegetable Bites. We have already used tahini and hummus separately, but now let us make the simplest possible vegetable snack built around them. Take cucumber rounds, bell pepper strips, celery, or carrot sticks. Add a spoonful of hummus. Finish with a sprinkle of sesame seeds or pumpkin seeds. That is all. It sounds almost too ordinary, but ordinary is exactly what we want. The NIH lists legumes, nuts, seed, whole grains, and leafy greens among the natural food sources of magnesium. This snack gives us two of those categories immediately: legumes through chickpeas and seeds through sesame or pumpkin seeds. The vegetables bring volume and crunch, and the hummus provides enough creaminess to make vegetables feel like a real snack instead of an obligation. This is also an easy snack for someone who prefers savory food. Not everyone wants fruit and nuts at 3 in the afternoon. Some people want something salty. Some want something crunchy. Some want something cold. Some want something they can eat with one hand while working in the garden. Healthy eating becomes much easier when the options match your preferences. There is no reason every nutrient-rich snack has to look like yogurt and berries. And this kind of snack is especially useful if you are watching sodium. Make your own hummus and control the salt, or compare labels and select a lower sodium option. Again, no ingredient is automatically perfect. Context matters. The more you understand that, the less likely you are to fall for the idea that one food is going to fix everything. Instead, you begin to think like a gardener. You plant several things. You give them different conditions. You harvest over time. You do not expect a single seed to feed the whole household. And that brings us to the 20th snack, where we are going to combine several of the ideas we have been building throughout this list. 20. The Everyday Magnesium Trail Mix. For the final snack, we are not looking for a secret ingredient. We are looking for a system. Start with pumpkin seeds. Add almonds. Add cashews. Add a modest amount of unsweetened cacao nibs. Then add a small amount of dried fruit. You can use dried apricots. You can use raisins. You can use chopped dates. You can even add roasted chickpeas if you want more savory crunch. Mix everything together. Then portion it. That last step matters. Do not keep reaching into a large container without thinking. Use small jars or containers till the portion is decided before you become hungry. This is where the entire idea of the video comes together. Magnesium-rich foods are not difficult to find. They appear across several ordinary food categories: seeds, nuts, beans, whole grains, leafy vegetables, some dairy foods. That is why the easiest approach is variety rather than obsession. You do not have to eat pumpkin seeds every day. You do not have to make chia pudding every morning. You do not need to turn chocolate into a supplement. You simply need to make more room for naturally magnesium-rich foods in the diet you already have. And the trail mix works because it is practical. You can keep it at home. You can take it when traveling. You can portion it for a gardening break. You can put a small container beside your afternoon tea. It also reminds us of something important about healthy aging. Independence is not only about medical numbers. It is about being able to get up from the chair, walk to the kitchen, prepare something you enjoy, carry groceries, work in the garden, visit family, travel, cook, and continue doing ordinary things without feeling that everyday life has become impossibly complicated. Food cannot guarantee that future, but good nutrition can be one piece of the foundation. There is one final point I want you to remember. Magnesium matters, but more magnesium is not automatically better. The body needs an appropriate amount. For adults, recommended intake is roughly 310 to 320 milligrams per day for women and 400 to 420 milligrams per day for men, depending on age and sex. Food naturally provides magnesium in a variety of forms, and the NIH does not set an upper limit for magnesium that naturally occurs in foods and beverages. The 350 milligram adult upper limit applies specifically to magnesium from supplements and medications, not magnesium naturally present in food. That distinction matters. Someone can eat pumpkin seeds, beans, spinach, whole grains, nuts, and other nutritious foods without needing to calculate every milligram. But adding high-dose magnesium supplements, laxatives, or magnesium-containing medications is a different question. Large supplemental amounts can cause diarrhea, nausea, and abdominal cramping, and extremely high amounts can be dangerous. Magnesium supplements can also interact with medicines, including some antibiotics and osteoporosis medicines. And if you have kidney disease or another condition that affects mineral handling, do not assume that a large increase in magnesium is appropriate simply because a food is nutritious. Kidney health can change how minerals are handled, and people with chronic kidney disease may need individualized dietary guidance. So what should you actually do with everything we covered? Do not try all 20 tomorrow morning. Pick 3 or 4 that you genuinely enjoy. Maybe pumpkin seeds. Maybe oatmeal with almond butter. Maybe hummus with whole grain crackers. Maybe edamame. Maybe yogurt with almonds. Maybe the trail mix. Buy those ingredients. Keep them visible. Prepare them before you become hungry. Then let repetition do the work. That is the part most nutrition videos skip. You do not need a perfect diet. You need a diet you can live with. And for many people, especially as the years go by, that means choosing foods that support the basics: adequate nutrition, enough protein, plenty of plant foods, regular movement, good sleep, and sensible medical care when something does not feel right. A magnesium-rich snack cannot instantly heal a serious problem, but a better snack can still matter. It can replace a less nutritious choice. It can help you add more whole foods to your day. It can make your pantry work in your favor. And one small improvement repeated hundreds of times can be much more meaningful than a dramatic change that lasts a week. So choose your 3 or 4 favorites from this list and keep them stocked where you can see them. Make the good choice easier. And remember what all 20 snacks had in common. They were not mysterious. They were food, seeds, nuts, beans, greens, whole grains, fruit, yogurt, simple ingredients prepared in simple ways. That may be the most encouraging part of all. Healthy aging does not have to mean living in a laboratory of powders, pills, and complicated recipes. Sometimes it means sitting down in the afternoon with a bowl of oatmeal and almonds. Sometimes it means reaching for pumpkin seeds instead of a packet of cookies. Sometimes it means spreading hummus on a whole grain cracker and adding a few vegetables. Small choices, repeated often, enjoyed without guilt, and build around the ordinary foods that make a kitchen feel like home. If this video gave you a useful idea, please like it, leave a comment telling me which of these 20 snacks you're going to try first, and subscribe to Healthy Roots for more practical videos about traditional foods, useful plants, gardening, healthy aging, and living independently.